Welcome to There's a Musical for That.
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 And if you like cellar dwellers
And trapdoor lovers.
there's a musical for that.
And if you like mermaids, crabs, and guppies, why? There's a musical for that.
If you like fan of the opera fan fiction, there's a musical for that.
If you like falling in love and broken hearts, and establishing your dreams and then having them dashed, and duels, there's a musical for that.
And it's called Wicked.
And it's called Little Mermaid Live.
It's called Hamilton.
And it's called Dogfight.
And it's called Fan of the Opera 2, Love Never Died.
Welcome to There's a Musical for That.
Hello, welcome to There's a Musical for That with Tiffany and Kayla. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Kayla.
And if you like Passover, Plagues, and Princes, well, there's a musical for that. And it's called The Prince of Egypt. The DreamWorks cartoon, which was released in, do you know what year this was released?
1998.
1998. So I was a child.
Yeah.
Figured this would be appropriate because Easter is coming up, which
And
is
Passover for
well,
the Jewish
yes,
people.
yeah, correct, which is
sure you were
corresponds
about
to
to say
Easter.
that.
Yes, yes. Christ went to Jerusalem for Passover and then was crucified, so they coincide.
Whoa.
What? Too much?
No, I didn't realize. Because as you were talking out, they related in my mind. I'm thinking, but Easter is about the crucifixion and resurrection, and Passover is about Moses. And then you said he went to Jerusalem for Passover.
Yes,
that's when he was
'cause-
crucified. Is that where the Last Supper was? They're having Passover. Got it. Oh boy, this is a great start. I didn't realize the connection there.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hope
'cause I was
that's
like-
right.
I was like, why?
I mean, if it's wrong, please send
No,
us
I
emails.
think you are correct. I just never thought about it in depth at all whatsoever.
All those Bible studies have helped me out. Yay!
They didn't help me.
All right.
So let's talk about the cast of this film because it was filled with celebrities.
Ooh, was it?
Yes, Val Kilmer plays Moses, and he also does the voice of Jesus. He was a Batman at one point.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
He also is a Christian Scientist. And he is... Never mind. I'll leave it at that. The voice of Zipporah, who is Moses' wife, is Michelle Pfeiffer, who was also in a Batman.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the Michael Keaton Batman, though, not the Val Kilmer Batman, I think. Let's see. The voice of Zipporah's father, what was his name? Ephraim?
Sure.
Zipporah's dad was Danny Glover. The two priests... Oh, I guess I should say Ramesses II was played by Ray Fiennes, who is Voldemort in all the Harry Potter movies. The Pharaoh... Their father, Ramesses and Moses. Moses' father was played by Patrick Stewart. I picked that one up this time. I was like, that's Captain Picard. And then who else? Oh, the two like henchmen in the palace were played by Martin Short and Steve Martin.
Huh.
Is that it? Oh, no. Miriam was played by Sandra Bullock.
I did recognize her voice.
And Aaron was my boyfriend. I'm sorry. Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
My old boyfriend, my 64-year-old boyfriend, Jeff Goldblum, was Aaron. Who was a Jewish person. I think he was the only Jewish person actually in this cast.
What's Sandra Bullock?
I don't know, but I do know her husband that she divorced was sleeping with a neo-Nazi woman.
Oh. Well,
So,
all right.
I don't know her religion. I just know Jeff Goldblum is a Jewish Bay. Grandpa Bay.
I forgot most of those names as you said them.
That's okay.
But-
I'm sure the people listening have some sort of feeling about them.
Yeah.
The lady who does the singing voice, I'm sorry, for the mom and older Miriam, I think, definitely for the mom, is a famous Israeli singer.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
looked her up. But that's all.
Super
We
cool.
can start now.
Do we want to go over the first time we saw this, or just go right into
Yeah,
it?
let's go over that. Let's talk about whatever we feel like.
Okay. I like this because I first saw it with one of my friends when I was in middle school, and it was from our local video store in this general area where we're from, is Family Video, and they have a free kids wall. So
They do?
Yeah.
Do they still?
Like, yeah, it's like a
Wow,
shelf,
they can
not
afford to
necessarily
do
a
that.
wall.
Cool. They still are operating. The only video store in this area, really.
But I was spending the night at a friend's house, and her mom took us to the video store to get a free movie. I think we actually got 2 because each kid gets 1 each.
That's so nice.
I know. Even though we had matured as middle schoolers, we
It's not
still
your
got
fault.
our. I know it's not our fault. We got our free kids movie, and I guess one of us picked out The Prince of Egypt, and really liked it because I like music. It was good.
Do you
As
remember
did
what the
Kim.
other one was? It's not a
Nope.
big deal. Just wondering.
I do not remember.
Sorry, you did say it was Kim. Kim, if you're out there.
I'm not going to say her last name because that's rude.
She knows who she is if she's out there
Exactly.
listening to this.
Hi, Kim. It's Tiffany.
I have a podcast now. What are you up to? Write in, let us know.
Did your sisters have you watch it when you were younger?
No, I remember I watched the Joseph one that DreamWorks did at my Aunt Karina's house, who later went on to go to Oral Roberts University. So
Maybe it was Joseph that I saw.
it wasn't very good. Well, you know what? I'm saying that because I was used to Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and then I saw the DreamWorks Joseph, and I was like, no, thank you.
It was Joseph that I saw at her house, so I don't actually know when the first time I saw this.
Yes. So that's what I was kind of working backwards from that, because I know that I watched Joseph at my Aunt Karina's house. I don't remember when I watched The Prince of Egypt.
Neither do I.
It's always been
Actually.
in our hearts.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was good. Let's jump right in then.
Yeah.
So, The Prince of Egypt, for those of you who are unaware, is based off of the biblical story in Genesis of
The beginning of this movie
Exodus.
said it was,
It's
yes.
based off of Exodus because the Israeli Exodus from Egypt after they had been there for 400 years. So, if you've seen Joseph, King of
Dreams, probably.
King of Dreams?
It wasn't very good, I assume.
I liked it. But if you've seen that, so that was the Israelite entrance into Egypt during the famine. And then they were initially welcomed and they settled there, but then over time they were enslaved, and the Israeli people were there for 400 years and were treated poorly.
Slaves.
Yes, and they became slaves. And then were treated worse and worse until Moses
Delivered them.
well, I guess technically God delivered them, but yes. Moses was sent by God to get them out of slavery and back to Egypt because the famine was gone.
Where was this movie set?
Egypt?
Oh, you said back to Egypt.
Sorry, back to Israel.
Okay, that's
Thank
why I
you.
was confused. What's
There's
the
a lot of
difference-
back and forth over time.
as people are wont to do.
Yes.
What's the difference between an Israelite and a Hebrew?
I don't think there is
Okay.
one. I mean, Hebrew is also a language.
Yes. Which Jewish people speak a language. That's not what I was. Jewish is a religion.
It is. It's also a cultural.
Yes.
Yes.
Jewish people don't speak Jewish. I can't think of Yiddish.
Hebrew. Oh.
Modern Jews speak Yiddish, do they not?
I didn't. I don't.
Modern American Jews.
Oh, goodness. I need to read up on this. I'm not going to claim to know anything right
Okay,
now.
I was just asking, assuming that you know lots of things.
I
just assumed
I
that you're the
think I
responsible
do,
adult.
but then I don't want to misquote it. So
That's fair. I think that's a fair statement to make.
hopefully this might lead someone to go look some stuff up and learn some stuff. So,
this movie takes place in Egypt.
yes.
The Prince of Egypt. Gosh,
Yes.
darn it.
Yes.
So, just a note on Ramesses II. Ramesses II is also known as Ozymandias, who was a character in The Watchmen. One of the superheroes from The Watchmen took his name from Ramesses II, Ozymandias. And I got that question right in an honors English class one time. And
Cool.
the teacher was so impressed. I was like, I read comic books. Hello. Okay.
I'm not sure biblically if they actually say it's Ramses for sure.
They call him Ramesses. I don't know Ramesses
In
what.
the Bible?
No, in the story.
I know, but I'm saying biblically, like,
Oh, if it's Ramesses in the Bible?
yeah. I'm pretty sure they just say Pharaoh. And they may have traced time-wise and tried to guess
Which Ramesses? Because
which-
there's like a lot
yes.
of them.
So, all right. Starts off the Pharaoh of the time.
Why do you keep saying Pharaoh?
That's what he is.
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh? Pharaoh? Pharaoh?
I
Pharaoh?
thought you were making fun of someone.
No, that's
can
just
say
how I
however
say it.
you
How,
like.
how do you say it?
Pharaoh.
Pharaoh? Pharaoh?
Say Pharaoh. I
Pharaoh?
don't mean to. I'm not trying to, stomp on your liver.
Now I want to say Pharaoh.
Do it. Pharaoh. He died.
He didn't die. He was turned into
In the
straw.
book, he died.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He did.
Anyway, so the
Pharaoh.
Egyptian king
The Pharaoh.
is threatened by how large the Israelite population has gotten. So they start to kill all of the children. First, they instruct the midwife. So I should maybe base it off the movie.
Yeah,
huh?
because I was like, whoa.
I'm
You
going
can-
into the biblical history.
I think you can give the biblical history, and then we can see where the movie, overlaps or
This could take a while. Let's just go on the movie, and if I notice any giant disparities.
No, I think you should say what you want to say.
Okay.
And if I edit it down, I do. If I don't, these people know how to hit the fast forward button.
All right. So, the king of Egypt, because Pharaoh,
Say Pharaoh.
Pharaoh?
Say what you want to say.
Pharaoh.
Say it how you want to.
I've always said Pharaoh.
Then
Why
say
didn't anybody?
Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh.
Mhm.
Pharaoh. Ordered the midwives to kill all the Egyptian babies when they went to help them be delivered, but they didn't. So then, because
And this is in the biblical.
in the Bible, yes,
The
in
movie
Exodus,
does not say why.
From the Bible.
necessarily.
And they didn't do that. So, to help limit the population, he just had all of the 1-year-old boys drowned. Or not 1-year-old, but all the baby boys drowned. And what was Moses' mother's name? Moses' mother
Yeah. Mama Moses.
hid him for 3 months, I think it was, and then put him in a basket and floated him on down the river in hopes that he would survive. Probably not quite the distance as the movie seems to indicate, because he goes and hits a boat, and he goes a long way.
It didn't seem that long in the movie. It just seemed very treacherous for a short period and then not treacherous. But I could be interpreting it incorrectly.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why did she put him on a dangerous river? But it could be because it was so long. This smells like old milk. I can't smell it anymore.
And his sister Miriam follows the basket and sees that
This
he's
is the movie.
and
In the Bible, she does
yeah,
that also? Okay.
I mean, yes. So she sees that he's picked up by, in the movie, it's Pharaoh's wife.
So on the Wikipedia, they did not necessarily say wife. They said something that made me think it was some sort of concubine or like a lady. Continue.
I mean, that's accurate. So in the Bible, it's not his wife.
It's
just
his daughter in the Bible, isn't it?
I think so.
Kayla knows something.
But in the movie, it seems like it's his wife, because they
Yes.
don't want to indicate to a bunch of little kids that it's not that. So it seems like this lady who picks him up is both the mother of Ramses and the person who adopts Moses. In actuality, there are probably, Moses was probably raised with a bunch of little boys all taught in the same school, so it's not like they were the two special ones who were brothers. He probably did know the Pharaoh, but not
As a father figure.
father or brother. And then in the Bible, when I'm going to call her a princess, picks up Moses, Miriam comes out and she's like, oh, hey, I know a Israelite woman who can nurse him. Do you want that to happen? So she actually gives the baby back to Miriam, and his mother nurses him for his first year or so and is paid to do so.
Shock.
And then gives him back. But in the movie, she just picks him up and adopts him, and that that's hers now.
So the Wikipedia for this movie says that the lady's name is Tuya, and she is Seti, who is the king, the pharaoh consort. And it says Ramses' mother and Moses' adopted mother, and apparently he was played by Helen Mirren, who is a British lady people like.
Yeah.
She didn't have that many lines.
Hmm.
I assume a consort is like a concubine, but I don't know.
That's a good assumption. It sounds like it.
Yeah. So Moses grows up in the palace.
Yes.
So if Kayla is speaking, it's mostly going to be about the movie because that's what
good.
I know.
Someone
about.
has to talk about it.
That's
That's what
I
it's
know.
for.
Moses is raised alongside Ramses as his brother, unaware to him, and it seems unaware to Ramses because he was a little boy when they found him, that he is not really their brother. And they are very annoying, normal, privileged type people. They have a chariot race all across the city, breaking things and just destroying a lot of things, and they get in trouble for it. And Pharaoh is a lot harder on Ramses. Is it Ramses or Ramesses?
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person.
Oh, boo. Ramses. I'm gonna keep
I would
saying
say
Ramses.
I would say Ramses.
That's what it looks
But I
like.
also
It
say
is.
Pharaoh,
But I
so-
also say Ramesses. So I'm gonna keep saying Ramesses. Pharaoh is harder on him because he's the one that has to succeed the throne, and Moses is like, "Please don't be hard on him, Father. It was my fault." And also Ramesses is British, and the Pharaoh is British in this movie, and Moses is not. He's American. You figure it out. I don't know why the accents are the way that they are. So later that day, Ramesses is like brooding because he's like, "Father's always so hard on me." And Moses tries to get him to have a little fun and dump water on the two people. This is information is not
the two
yes, but they
sorcerers.
but they are so low on the totem pole of this movie that it's not worth it that I mention this, except if you've seen the movie. So he dumps it on the guys. They just kind
They
of
have a song.
poo-poo on these guys because these guys don't believe in the, as Moses calls it, the Hebrew God. They believe in those other gods, the Egyptian gods. So they're like kind of written as like the sneaky sneakersons. So it turns out Pharaoh has named Ramesses as Prince Regent based off of Moses' advice of like, hey, just give him a chance. And Ramesses names Moses as the like architecture lead or something.
That sounds right.
I just feel like this is so minutia. I don't know how to get out of it.
All right.
Take us back to the higher level to get us out of here.
So that's all true in the movie. That's not biblically accurate. But I think I'm going to have to let that go for the purpose of doing a podcast for this movie. So,
Yeah, and for it to not be 57 hours.
yes. I recommend that you maybe take a peek at the first couple chapters of Exodus.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus,
Yes.
Numbers.
Or not, it's up to you.
Do
Do what you
whatever
want
you
to
want.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to know how
It really happened.
Yeah. Then
As per the Bible.
yes, how biblically it is. Anyway, you know
know
what the
where to
Bible
go.
is. Yeah. All
And
right.
at the
So
beginning of this movie, it does say, this is our interpretation of this. If you want to read the real story, it's in Exodus. Get out of here.
all right. So let's get back into the movie. So yes, he's named the architect person, and there's this huge celebration of when they named Ramses Prince Regent.
Prince Regent.
Prince Egypt. And then they bring in Zipporah as a gift to Ramses. They stole her out of the desert, and
She's a desert flower.
yes, and she's very unhappy because they stole her.
They kidnapped her.
Yes.
She tries to bite them, and
Yep.
Ramses like, oh, well, give
Yeah,
her to my brother.
Yes, he's like, oh,
You take her.
And then Moses kind of makes her fall into the water, and she's laughed at. He feels kind of bad because he looks behind him and sees his mom shaking her head at him.
SMH.
And then SMH.
Shaking my head. This internet talk.
Oh, that's what that means.
I thought I sent that to you the other day, and I was like, or maybe I thought about it, and I was like, she's not going to know what that is, so I didn't.
I feel like I interpreted the meaning correctly, but I never actually knew what, because it's used in an appropriate context
like
where you would be.
SMH,
Yeah, I'm just
Shaking my
okay.
head.
Anyway, so later on, They're supposed to put Zipporah up in Moses' room, and he goes there expecting to find her, but she escaped and tied some guy up instead. No, it was a guy.
Oh, so when I looked away for a second, and when I looked back, the 2 dogs were tied up, and I was like, there was no need for her to do that. Because the dogs look up at Moses like, "Meow."
I think that was just to keep him quiet. Because she had a guy tied up where she
Tie
was.
their legs, so that was mean.
And then Moses actually helps her escape. He distracts the guard so she can get away. And then you're back into the story of just Moses being in Egypt, and he walks outside and sees how poorly the Egyptians are treated. No? Did I skip something?
When Zipporah is escaping, she runs outside and sees Miriam and Aaron and asks them for water. Because she's like, I'm going on a long
That's
journey.
important, yeah.
Yes. And then Moses sees them, and Miriam's like, oh, you're back. It sounds... Sandra Bullock did not do any voice acting, so it's a little distracting, but I mean, what are you going to do? But Sandra Bullock is like, you're back. I knew you would come back for us and deliver us. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, who you are. And she is adamant that he is coming. Was there a prophecy that he was going to be the one to deliver them? Why was she so adamant that he was going to do that? Okay. And Aaron is more the realist, and he's like, oh, forgive her.
Yeah.
And Moses is like, you will be punished for grabbing on me and saying all these things. And Miriam says, you're our brother, and you're a Hebrew. And she starts singing the lullaby the mom sang in the beginning, and Moses realizes that she's telling the truth, and he runs away and like in a fit of not body dysmorphia, but what is it when people's realities are like, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm just gonna go with confusion.
Okay.
His reality, not the word that you're looking for.
His reality was messed with. His like sense of self.
Yes.
Because he thought he was this prince, and now this person's telling him he's not, and he just like runs away in confusion. Yes.
So yes, he runs away. I think he sees Pharaoh.
First, he like tuckers himself out and closes his eyes and has a weird dream sequence of the like mosaics on the wall. Because for whatever reason, they're celebrating Pharaoh having the babies thrown to alligators, and they have a giant painting of it on the wall. And in Moses'
Are they celebrating it, or is that just their recording of history?
But why is it on a giant wall in a palace? Everybody's not going to see it.
Recording of history?
It could be. You could be right. I don't know their culture. But Moses dreams about it, and it's kind of the backstory that we already saw, but I don't know. I guess not. You could interpret it as it's God showing him, like, confirmation of what happened, because it is, again, you see that, and Moses wakes up upset, and then he sees the Pharaoh, and he's like, you killed them. And Pharaoh says, they're only slaves. He's like, how could you say that? I was one of them. So now he cares.
So then the next day he's outside and sees the Egyptians treating the Israelites poorly, and it makes him angry. And they're whipping them, and
he pushes the guy. And
yes,
the guy dies.
he kills a guard. And then he runs away because he killed someone.
And Ramesses is like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, Ramses is like, I can make it go away.
And Moses is like, it'll never go away. Well, he's American. He's like, it'll never go away. And he runs into the desert.
Yes, and he is like, I'm not who you think. Basically, he doesn't tell him that he's not his brother, but...
Well, he says that man I once called father. He goes, ask that man I once called father.
Yes.
Okay.
So he goes and travels in the desert and gets all dehydrated and tired and comes across a well. And
3 little girls.
yes, well, women.
They were little girls.
Were
in
they?
the movie.
Oh.
Yes. They are very little girls.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Zipporah, so I don't know at
she
what
was
point
a full-grown woman.
Okay.
The oldest of the little girls might have been 9.
Oh.
They were very small. Because Moses helps them. Some guys were trying to do, I don't know what they were trying to do. Moses helps them. And he falls in the well, and the 3 little girls are trying to pull him up, and Zipporah comes up. And she's like, what did you guys do? And they're like, the funny man fell in the well. So she helps them pull him up, and then she sees Moses, and she lets him fall back. And then there's this cut, and she's introducing him to her father, who's the king of that area.
I wouldn't say he's the king.
Wikipedia said he was a king of some sort.
Okay.
I could be lying, actually. Sometimes I do that.
I wouldn't call him a king.
They're like nomadic people. Jethro. That's the guy from the Beverly Hillbillies.
I think he's just like the patriarch. I wouldn't call him a king. He's the man in
Oh,
charge.
priest. Okay, he's a priest. I took that as prince, king. And he sings "Through Heaven's Eyes," something, and him and Moses and Zipporah eventually get married. Do you know how long he was with them?
A while.
Okay.
Like a pretty long while.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because it was basically one song in the movie, and they're like, well, now we're married.
Like, I want to say it's at least 20 years or something.
Oh!
Maybe even 40.
Moses'
They
hair
lo-
only grew
they-
like 4 inches at that time.
They lived a long time. I'm going to say 40 years.
Wow. So Moses and Zipporah actually get together on not like rapey slave type way, in a
Yeah,
real
they
way.
get married.
And
Have 2 children.
oh, they
2
didn't mention
boys. Well,
that. DreamWorks.
at some point Zipporah kind of disappears from the narrative in Exodus.
Oh, well.
Which is... It's interesting. You can, if you want some... There's a lot of drama in the Bible, so...
That's very true. So Moses at some point comes across a cave,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking about the movie. I don't know how it happened in the Bible. And he hears a voice, which is actually Val Kilmer's own voice being God, which is kind of weird. And it's the burning bush.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, take off your shoes. This is a holy place. And he tells him that he's to lead the Hebrews? Jews? The people.
Mm-hmm.
His people.
Mm-hmm.
Out of Egypt. And Moses is kind of disbelieving, and then the burning bush says, go! Like, yells at him. And he runs back and tells his wife, I talked to God, and this is what God told me. So they go back to Egypt to
Which is
confront Ramses.
Pretty close to being biblically accurate, because Moses was resistant, and he was like, but God, I can't, and but God, I'm not good, and so, yeah, and then God's like, go do it, here's a staff, and it makes a steak, and all this stuff.
Did you ever sing that song in Kitty Church about the Let My People Go?
No, but I saw someone sing that on American Idol one time.
Okay.
I didn't go to a lot of kiddie church.
You know the fun thing about Kitty Church, and this is my last tangent for right now, no promises. At least in the churches that I grew up in, you have these little kids singing these like songs that are very violent and apocalyptic.
I was thinking that.
And it's very odd when you think about it. Like these little "Let my people go." And then there's one. What is it? There's literally ones about being like a child in the Lord's army and like smiting your enemies and stuff. And it's like It's like raise your sword to the enemies of the Lord.
Oh, I don't know that one. But this morning,
when I'm in
my
the Lord's
nieces,
army.
it was like something like God was gonna send a floody. And told Noah to build an arky. I was like, okay.
People die.
But that's what we do. We take, honestly, some of the worst biblical stories
Jesus
that we don't
Christ.
understand and turn them into children's stories.
Well, it's indoctrination, which is fair because parenthood is indoctrination, and that's just the way it works. But when I do it with my cult, all of a sudden it's wrong. So yes, he goes back to Pharaoh, and Ramses is like, my brother, because Ramses doesn't really know why he ran away. He just knows that it's his brother, and he's like, welcome back. I'm going to skip some of the minutiae again. Not Pharaoh, Moses says, God told me that you need to let all of the Hebrews, Israelites, are they all the same thing? He says to let the people go. And Pharaoh says, I won't.
Yeah. Well, at first he's like, all right, Moses, I'll play along. And then those 2 little
Guys.
sorcerer, priest, whatever they
You
are.
sing a song, don't you? You're playing with the big boys now.
Yes.
It's not a good song.
No.
And Moses' staff turns into a snake, and then their staffs also turn into snakes.
And then Moses'
And they
in the
call-
Bible, Moses' staff then eats the others. Moses'
It does in the
snake
movie,
eats-
too.
Oh,
They
he
do it in
does?
shadow.
Okay, good. Yeah.
They show a shadow of his, like... ugh. I don't want to see that. But, so the priests are calling upon the Egyptian gods, and... Because Moses says, well, the Hebrew God told me. And they're like, there's not one God, there's all of these. And they're calling upon them, and they keep saying Ra over and over again. And so Pharaoh says, because you came here, everybody gets double work. All the Hebrews get double work. And Moses leaves, and the Hebrew people are mad, and they're like, "There's Moses," and they throw mud at him, and Miriam picks him back up.
Because
Says, "I need you to
initially
come
things
back."
do get a lot worse.
It was worse than throwing mud in his hair, I assume.
Oh, for like the Egyptians, they
Yeah.
have to do more and more with less and less.
So in the Bible, yes, it says that Moses would ask for him to let the people go, and then God hardened Ramses' heart. Ramses is a heart.
Pharaoh's heart.
Why did he harden his heart?
So
That wasn't very nice.
we've discussed this, and this is discussed a lot.
Not you and me, we.
No, right. But this is just discussed a lot of people who,
Biblical
Look at-
scholars.
yes, because there's always that choice versus predestination thing. And at least in my area, we always believe that people do have a choice. So my belief is likely that Pharaoh wasn't going to choose, like he was never going to be obedient. So God knew that and just made him make the choices, not made him make the choice, but had things done in such a way that the Israelites would be leaving Egypt, because this was their home. So they not only had to make it uncomfortable enough for all of the people to actually want to leave their home where they'd been for 400 years, but essentially they were chased out in the end. So
Yes, but and this is not like a biblical blah 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 podcast. This is not a biblical
Right.
discussion, coffee chat. But in my opinion, if he wasn't going to change his mind anyway, and he already, before the plagues even started, said, "Well, I'm going to make things worse for them because you're here," why did God feel the need to harden his heart? I think it's mean, especially since he ends up losing his child because his heart keeps getting hardened. I don't like people losing children, and I just think it's like, why would you choose to harden this man's heart and make things worse for the people when I feel like there are other routes? Something to chew on, guys. Anyway,
oh God, I'd also need to go back and look at the actual translation of hardening a heart.
that's true, because that's just what I remember from growing up in church. And God hardened his heart, and came back, and God hardened his heart. And in the movie, they showed him like kind of getting angrier. Because you would think, me being the person that I am, I would think as soon as I saw like frogs and all this other stuff, I'd be like, something is going on here. I wouldn't just be like, no. I'd be like, something mysterious is happening, or something extra ordinary. I wouldn't just be like, hey. But I'm not a pharaoh. I don't know what was going on in Egypt. So the plagues start.
Yep.
7?
I don't remember how many. There's the Nile, the water turning to blood in the Nile.
That's right.
There's
Frogs.
Frogs. There's the
Is frogs part of the pestilence? Or was it raining frogs? Was that one of them?
I don't think it was raining frogs.
In the movie, it definitely wasn't. I couldn't remember if that was supposed to be.
There
a
was
plague.
just frogs everywhere, which
Gross.
frogs is actually one of the Egyptian gods. Like, it is a frog. So for the Egyptians, they could not kill frogs. So they had to ask Moses to get rid of them because, yeah. And Moses was like, sure. When would you like them gone? And Pharaoh's like, tomorrow, which is odd.
And he put them away.
I don't know where the frogs went. Maybe they died. There were
There are
flies.
There's 10.
Okay.
They combined some of them in the movie.
Yes.
Flies is
they
correct.
attacked the livestock. There was darkness. But only on the Egyptians, not where the Israelites lived. There was the skin leprosy thing, whatever.
Unhealable boils is what this
Yes,
says.
the boils.
Do you think you're going to get all 10?
No, I'm looking at your pictures. I have 7 so far.
Well, there's the most
the
obvious
children.
one. Yes.
The firstborns die.
And that's where
If you-
Passover comes from, because God told the Hebrews to put, what was it, the blood over their door.
Yes,
And
anyone who had
spirit
the
of
blood
death-
over the door.
The spirit of death would pass over your home.
Yes.
Do you want me to say the other ones?
Yeah, there's only 2 more.
Lice. or
Okay.
gnats. Locusts. Hail and fire is the last
Hail
one.
and fire. Okay.
Which I don't know if the movie showed that, but they kind of showed the gnats and flies and locusts together on the
Okay.
movie.
Yeah, I just said flies. I didn't.
I don't even think they
Separate
really
them.
showed the darkness on the movie either. They showed the livestock, the
I
blood.
mean, that's fair. How are you going to show darkness?
Yeah, how are you gonna tell people? Well, they could have done a shot of both of the cities together, which maybe they did. Yeah, they did show a giant cloud come out over Egypt, but I was kind of looking that my eyes are rolling all around, looking that and the other direction. So after Ramesses' cute little son with his side ponytail, after he dies, is that when he?
Yeah, go. He finally says, "Get the people and go."
And they're leading them, and then he ends up sending the army after them anyway to trap them at the water, the ocean, lake, water,
Debatable.
at the water.
Yes.
And that's when Moses does his famous staff into the ground, and it
Parting of the waters. And there's a giant firewall that stops the Egyptian
like
soldiers.
a fire tornado.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that it gives the Israelites time to cross the now dry
area.
waterbed.
Yeah, and you see that nice shot of the whale that backlit.
It's a shark.
No, there's a giant humpback whale.
I think that's a shark.
Huh? Sharks aren't that big, Tiffany. I thought it was a whale.
It has fins in areas that I think is a shark.
What
and
side
it's-
was it on? Oh, whale shark. Here are the here are the things from Google suggestions: Prince of Egypt whale, Prince of Egypt whale shark, Prince of Egypt whale or shark.
Do whale or shark and see what happens.
That's funny. Because I always thought it was just like this beautiful giant
No, I've
whale.
seen this, but I don't know.
Yeah, I want to look at it again
Okay.
together so we can determine.
Well, I'm not gonna know.
No, but maybe you can show me the fins that you saw that I did not see.
Okay. Also, just the way that it's moving, it's like sideways versus.
Yeah, I thought it was like a giant, like, ooh, whale.
We're gonna have to fast forward a bit.
You can go ahead.
Come on.
Drag it, ma'am.
My neck. Okay.
When I find myself in oops time.
You can have it face you.
I just want it to be big.
Oh. For listeners, if this isn't cut out, they're crossing the water bed.
Whenever I make these into
Oh,
YouTube videos, I'll just put this in there. This is long. Okay, it's coming.
Yes. There. I think that's a shark.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this.
No, that's a shark.
Why is it so big? Do you see how big it is compared to the people?
Uh-huh. I think it's a shark.
How is a shark 20
Just
people
look at
big?
the fins and the way that it's moving.
Whales have dorsal fins also. Oh, you're saying it's going this way? Because sharks go this way and mammals
Yes.
go that way. Okay. I see that. I feel... Okay. Look at how big this is compared to these people. That's why I thought it was a whale.
I used to think it was a whale too, but I read a commentary
sharks-
on the internet
yes,
of like the
whales
way
do
that
not
it's
move
moved.
this
Yes,
way.
that's a shark.
I think this is a misstep on the animator's part. I don't think this is our fault.
Okay.
I don't think this is our fault, honestly, because it's literally like, was this like 40 people long?
20.
It's more.
it's
It's
very
larger
large.
than a shark,
It's
but
a
the way
great white shark.
they are not that big. Even Jaws was not that big. But the way that it's animated moving is the way that a fish
shark,
swims.
yes.
It's not the way that a mammal swims.
Yes.
They swim this way because they have the same spine that we have,
Yes.
and fish do not. The animators got it wrong.
Oh, okay.
Whale or shark. The giant creature is a beautiful shot. That's where we're at.
Okay.
And they walk through the
Yes, and then the
Valley of the
firewall
Shadow of
goes
Doubt.
away, and the Egyptians start to come after them, so the water starts to fall in on them, and they drown. And then we get the song, When You Believe?
Yeah, because I think it's after. I think this. Don't they wander for 40 days and 40 nights? And is Moses the one that gets mad and hits the rock?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think this is what they're trying to interpret that as, because the people, after they do that, they're kind of just like, oh, they're losing faith. And in my mind, even as a child, I'm like, you just walked through a giant ocean. How are you losing faith? But I think in the movie it's supposed to be the 40 days of wandering, and the people kind of lose their gumption, so Miriam does try to buck them up.
I just assumed that it stopped right after they got past and doesn't even get into the 40 years because...
It's 40 years? That was 4 days.
It's 40 years.
Oh, oh my God.
It's only supposed to be however many days, but...
Moses didn't have his...
Well, it's not just Moses. The people are also... They immediately get across, and Moses goes up into the mountain to talk with God.
Ten Commandments?
Well, yes. And then he comes back down and he sees the people have built a golden calf and are
Oh,
worshiping
that's the story.
a golden calf.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Is that
No.
this one too?
No.
You know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right?
Yeah.
They have a song.
They go into the fire
Yeah.
and are burned.
And
Yeah.
then there's another person. There was 2 sets of footprints. It's not this. But there was
All
a
right.
4th person in the fire, and it was Jesus.
Yeah. So they sing the song "When You Believe," which also the Celtic women sing. That
And they
I like
don't
that
do
song.
it the best, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I like the
I like
Mariah
it.
Carey, Whitney Houston one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm used to.
I like them
Oh, I
both.
have a whale on a stick. I mean, a shark.
It's a shark.
This is a shark.
We just talked
This is
about this.
definitely a shark. Look at his shark teeth. This is
And the end. And then the credits roll. So, what was your favorite? We didn't even talk about all the songs. So, what was your favorite song?
There can be miracles when you believe.
Yes.
Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will.
I like that, but I also like All I Ever Wanted.
Oh, with the 2 brothers?
Mhm.
That is sad.
Yeah. It's just
like,
very...
all I ever wanted was to make you happy, and it's like, oh. And Moses, like, I wish it wasn't me having to, like, do this, but it's not my fault.
Yeah. In the movie, I like that. If I'm just going to listen to a song, I'd rather listen to When You Believe. Cause
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
That's what I'm basing it off of.
Okay.
And I like the Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey version.
Do you have a least favorite song?
You're playing with the big boys now. It's like, get out of here.
Yeah. I'll go with that. I don't remember the 10 Plagues song.
They're just like kind of chanting. They're like, pestilence, thing. It's not.
Yep. What are we gonna... I feel like
Plagues.
we're gonna rate it out of plagues.
Yeah, why not?
It's negative. I feel like the more plagues I give it, the worse it is.
Oh, I could see that.
Princes, Passovers, cups of wine,
I mean, that's the most
whale
positive.
sharks,
Sure. I think you should go with what you wanted. I'm just
Burning
gonna be
bushes?
fickle. Sure.
staffs,
I like bushes.
burning bushes.
Yeah.
Okay. I will.
And the fire was not hot fire, by the way. It was a friendly fire. It wasn't like a hot burning fire because Moses could touch it. I just want the people to know if you didn't know that. Isn't that right? Isn't that biblical?
He did not burn. Yeah, and the bush didn't burn either.
No,
It was on
no,
fire,
was
but it wasn't
talking.
bushing.
Yeah,
Burning. Bushing.
It wasn't bushy. It was just burning. It wasn't bushy.
Yeah.
And it was friendly.
Yeah. It was a talking friendly
Until it started
burning
yelling.
bush.
Until it was like, go.
It was an encouraging yell.
Yes.
Cheering.
How many of these burning bushes would you like to give it? Do you think never mind. I was going to say, do you think Grandmother Willow is related to the burning bush? But she wasn't on fire. So who's to tell?
I think I'll give it 3.8 burning bushes out of 5.
That's good.
I know.
That's a high score.
It's a nostalgic and some good song, good music, in my opinion.
Yes.
And it, yeah. Yep.
What were you going to keep saying?
I think I'm done.
Okay.
I know I was going to say something, but I couldn't remember. Like, I don't think I actually had anything. So your turn.
I'm going to give it 3.
Mm-hmm.
I did kind of find myself getting bored because I was rewatching it today.
Yep.
Which is why my eyes were just wandering all about.
That's
like
why
a
I
child.
didn't have a 4 for me.
Yes. I like the songs. Of course, I like the songs. The movie, for covering so much, there were some holes, some logic holes, but they did kind of try to throw something in there because at one point Aaron was like, now all of a sudden you care about us because you found out you're one of us. Like, rude. And Moses...
It's not his fault he was raised by someone else.
Well, no, but it's like, now that it affects you, now you care. When, 3 days ago, you're up here with chariot races doing whatever you didn't care.
It's hard all around.
But I wanted to say that I felt like the movie handled it kind of well. Wherein Miriam... Was it Zipporah? I think is like, will you leave him alone? And then Moses goes, no, he actually has a point. And then Miriam's like, Aaron, how dare you? And I was like, well, you just threw the point out, but Aaron did have a point. Like, now that it's you care, but you did not care before that. But I think in the actual story, I'm sure there is a lot more development of that. But all that to say that the movie had to cover a lot. Apparently,
I mean, there's more and less because.
Well, yes. Apparently it was 50 some odd years or something. It's 150 years that they're covering in a very short amount of time, and they have to do it for kids. And
Which, the last time I watched this was a month or so ago with my nieces, and I forgot that Moses killed the Egyptian, so I strategically covered my niece's view as I adjusted her blanket. So I was like, oh man, there's death and stuff and murder. Which, she's seen The Lion King, so I guess whatever.
But what about all the dead babies on the wall? Did you,
Oh, I fell asleep. I was tired.
Okay.
I can only watch her so much.
Yeah, it's a, to put it as bluntly as possible, it's a violent story.
Yep.
It's fine, though. I'm
All
sure I'll watch it
stories are.
again at some point. I had apparently already started watching it on Netflix. I like the songs.
I like the songs, yeah. But it does get a little boring a bit.
It's a lot of information.
But honestly, most stories that I watched when I was little, I'm kind of like, I'm bored now, you know?
Pocahontas
Actually, most
wasn't a good
things in
movie.
general. I liked Pocahontas when I was little, but then, as an adult, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, until I watched it as an adult, and I was like, oh, I don't think I actually sat through this movie ever. I think I just listened
Well,
to
and
the
to
songs.
be fair, we saw the extended version.
that has Just Around the River Bend. Is that
No,
the
that's
version?
in the original. That one where Mel Gibson is singing.
No, I think Just Around the
It's
River
not.
Bend is an extra.
No, it's in the original.
That Mel Gibson one, most definitely.
It was not.
Ugh, lordy.
It was not. Okay, well,
See you next
thanks
time.
for listening.
What are we watching next time? Do you want to give them a hint?
Is it Rent? Based on the order of when we're releasing this?
Yeah.
My hint is Rent.
But what version of Rent? Ha!
Ooh.
Oh, I was about to press
Trixies.
stop over here. That's not a thing.
Goodbye.
Bye.